Okay, right, good evening everybody. I have no video. Okay. And it really is a great pleasure and an honour for me to present this award this evening. As you know, the Distinguished Service Award is made in reflection of the dedication and commitment to the furtherance of the society and its aims. This year, the recipient of the award is somebody who we now know frequents Starbucks. It is Professor Philip Woods. I'll just say one or two things about Philip before we ask him to. Things that he's prepared to share in public, I hope. Okay, Philip's been an active member of BELMAS since 2002. And during that time, he's made a significant contribution to the society, both professionally and personally. He's been a considered and well-respected vice chair, chair, and immediate past chair. He joined council in 2009, and he was appointed vice chair in 2011 and chair in 2013. Over that period of time, Philip has given freely of his own time and expertise, and he's contributed over and above what was required of him as chair. He kindly agreed to extend his tenure as chair to assist the society during periods of illness of other members. He also agreed to continue his service for an additional year to ensure continuity across BELMAS Council when the vice chair unexpectedly stood down. He has contributed to BELMAS on a range of issues. In particular, he's been very active in working with colleagues across Europe on the EPNOZL, and you can ask him later what that is because I can never remember, but on the EPNOZL project. Okay, as you know, a key aim of BELMAS is to bring together practice and research. And Philip has been a strong advocate of working across the whole spectrum of education. In 2017, as immediate past chair, he proposed an important piece of work, which was the UK Review of Education Policy, which we heard about yesterday, and work in that area is still ongoing. As chair of council, Philip was always concerned to ensure that council members were aware of their responsibilities and that there was well-exercised stewardship of budgets. In terms of his professional role outside BELMAS, Philip is currently Professor of Education at the University of Hertfordshire. He's authored over 130 publications on the subjects of education, democracy, leadership, and governance. He has a track record of successfully leading major funded projects, both in the UK and internationally. And he's been a regular presenter of papers and workshops at BELMAS Conference, as well as at international conferences. Just speaking personally for a moment, I have really enjoyed working with Philip over the past few years. He's thoughtful, calm, and supportive. I greatly respect his professionalism and concern to act fairly and justly in all he does. There are many colleagues who have written statements of strong support for Philip, and these are included in the booklet that we're going to give him to take away, and he can read these at his own leisure. So please put your hands together for Professor Woods.
on my iPhone taken a little video. If you can set it up. It's not entirely surprised, because Jill kindly let me know a few days ago about the award so that I could prepare myself, and I do have a fantastic speech available, which I've left in the hotel room. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the UK review and tell you about that. Because I can't actually remember anything else at the moment. I had some things in mind, but they've all gone completely. But it did make me reflect about BELMAS, and when I first found out about BELMAS, which actually was back in the early 1980s. I'd never heard of it, and I worked for the Welsh Consumer Council then. And the then BELMAS, or I think it must have been called BEMAS, because the leadership wasn't in it, in the name, I mean, it had its conference in Cardiff. Yeah, thank you. It had its conference in Cardiff, and the Welsh Consumer Council got a phone call from the BELMAS office because they were interested in someone coming from the Consumer Council. And that's when I first heard the name Ron Glatter. Well, I didn't know what the organisation was about, and I didn't really understand it at all. And since then, well, I still don't really understand it. But of course, I remembered the name Ron Glatter, and little did I know that a few years later, I'd actually be talking to Ron, begging him for a job at the end of the 1980s, which actually led to my coming into academia at the Open University, and then connecting directly with BELMAS and being involved and presenting. And BELMAS was a community that I learned about, as you do. You come into a strange place, a strange community that you don't understand, but you start to meet people, you get an idea of what it's about, and it develops your identity, or through that, you have a process of developing, or that's how I felt, my identity is where I was and what I was doing and who I was relating to. And over time, working with a lot of different people who, you developed collegial working, you worked with different people, you engaged with different people, there were friendships in that, but there's also a challenge involved in relating to people, different ideas, different ways of doing things, different ways of thinking, all contribute to your development. And that's what I gained from being part of BELMAS, and then even more so when I got more involved through council and working on BELMAS projects with a number of people who are both colleagues and friends, and there's a lot of warmth in working with a range of different people, and that's part of developing as an academic and a researcher and engaging with a community. So I really appreciate the award and the thoughtfulness behind it. To be candid, it hasn't really sunk in, because although I learnt about it a few days ago, there's lots of other things going, so, oh, right, there's an award, I've got to remember about that as well. But it will sink in, because what people communicate about you and what they think about you is shown through such an award. I've sat at the other side and seen it given and appreciated the work that people have done and the recognition that's given by colleagues. So I really do, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate this award and say thank you.